I want to start, kind of had a couple messages on my heart. I'm going to throw this out. I may continue this, but I was with an insurance man this week, and not with the building, but it's my own stuff. I hadn't met him before, except on the phone, and we met and had coffee and just were talking, and he started asking me about my life. Well, how'd that all go? And so I got to review starting Believers Fellowship, got to review some of the people that we're in contact with. Of course, Elir and Ola were here with us last week. They're doing great. They got to experience a lot of things. They're up in Timber Lake right now. That's a heck of an experience. Just getting there and all that. Can't remember if I shared this with you, but Ola was she wanted to try everything. So she got on our little four-wheeler, and I got behind her, and she screamed, and you know, then I took both of them on a ride on my Indian motorcycle, and you know, I thought he was going to crush my lungs, grabbing me out of fear, but they've had a great time. They're having a great time up at Timber Lake, and all that's really good. Anyway, I was just starting to share some of the stories with this man. And then I asked him about his life, and I was surprised about just how much he had done. He's in his 70s and rodeo guy, and you wouldn't know it by looking at him. He looks, you know, a dignified insuranceman. And then I just found out he was always pushing the extremes, and he was, you know, breaking the rules as far as like his dad never wanted him to rodeo, and he said, I did. He said I think back in 1978, started something insurance, made $50,000 that year. That's pretty good back in 1978, wasn't it? And plus he did 72 rodeos. So man, and I would have never, ever guessed this by looking at him. You know, he kind of came limping in, and he said he's actually going to get his ankle replaced. I guess they can replace ankles, who knew? But anyway, we were sharing, and then he started quizzing me down more about some of the things, and you know, we have a great story here. What we've done here and what we've done overseas, and the things that are actually moving now faster than ever. I mean, we're not done. We're actually kicking everything in high gear right now, like it or not. And so then he started asking me my political views, some of that and all that. Anyway, he finally said, "Am I keeping you too long?" I said, "No, this is Thursday morning. I actually woke up and said, Lord, what do you need me to do today?" And he said, "I don't need you today." And I thought, what a nice word. I mean, you know, it was between him and me. He knew what I needed to hear. He just said, "I don't need you. Go do whatever you want today." You know, because I was having a hard time getting all this shut down, you know, with everything going on. So we were just sharing there, and a couple hours. And when we got done, he just said something to me that I wish I could quote it verbatim, but it's not. But I just know what he indicated. He just said, "So really, the truth is, we're all worried about what people think of us, but nobody really cares." And I thought, yeah, you're right. We try so hard to have an impressive life. A lot of us, you know, a lot of people, they got goals they're reaching. You can go to a seminar and you can get all pumped up about how to reach goals and how to be successful and how to, you know, and make your life count and rah. And I've been there, done that. We'll do it again. You know, but when all's said and done, you can tell your story to somebody and they'll say, "Wow, that's really interesting." But that's about it. Then you walk away and they walk away. And I can honestly tell you, I want to meet this man. I want to spend some time with him because I do want to hear more of his story. It's what feeds my heart. But overall, let's put it this way. Let me encourage you this way. I have a paradox here. You can live such a better life if you're not trying to impress anybody or thinking that somebody's going to think you're something. If you're just satisfied with this, my Father knows me and loves me and thinks I'm great. If you can just grab hold of the fact that the God that created you, and not just created you to live in South Dakota at this time, and and in this 2023, but if you can actually tap into the truth that you're a child of God that's going to live forever with God, with all power, a joint heir with Jesus. In other words, everything in this whole stinking universe is yours. If you can grab hold of that in any fashion and say, that's the reality, that's true, that's who I am, no matter what I do now, no matter what I get done on this earth, or if I die today, or whatever, or if everybody stands up and gives me, awards, or nobody recognizes me, the truth is, I'm a spiritual being that's going to live with God for eternity, with power and wisdom, and never die, and joy. Man, I hope you're grasping this. We're not ever going to get that to the point that, saturation or whatever, but every day that you can step out into life and say, today's a good day because I know who I belong to and who belongs to me. And I'm going to be around forever. It's a good day. That's freedom. That's really freedom. Nobody ever knows your name, and nobody ever writes anything down in history about you. Man, I'm telling you, that is a high goal, and that is the truth. If that's not the truth, the rest of this is really nothing but a game we're playing. Like our Monopoly games used to be when my brother and I and sisters would play. So if you can get there, if you can keep that going. And then on the other side, here's what's also cool. You can have a tremendous impact on people's lives by actually caring about their life. It's a powerful thing to actually just care and want to hear somebody's story. And so I'm going to meet with this guy again because I just sincerely want to go hear his story and be there and encourage him. That's kind of a paradox. So I don't know if that's the right word or not, but here's the deal. If you can actually give out this ability or this love to care about somebody and want to hear their story and encourage them in that, that's a powerful ministry. But on the reciprocal side, if you can just say, I'm really satisfied with the fact that my Father knows exactly who I am and what I do. So then if you get anything, it's good. Does that make sense? What a wonderful way to live. Pouring out what others are looking for, but knowing in yourself who you really are. And that's a powerful thing. That's a reality. I want to talk today a little bit about, just this part of it kind of, brought down the reality of, okay, yeah, we don't have a church building, that's fine. Why were we gathering together? Why did we start believing for this? How did we get here? It's been about, we came to Sturgis, where's Richard?
85.
84.
All right, 84. I think it was 85, but
I was hoping you'd be more confident. Pretty sure it was 84.
we'll
Maybe 85. Almost 40 years. Yeah, like we shared, we met at the Knuckle Bar. It was a glass shop at that time. You talk about, we're kind of dealing with no supplies for children's church, all that, but I don't want to bore you with it, but it was kind of awesome wintertime. There's an alleyway there, and Elisa took the kids across the alley to this little shed. And she'd have to start a fire in the wood fire burnt pot there, and there was no water, there was no bathroom. So she would, we had one little bathroom in the back of the church. How many of you know that's really as awkward as you can get when you go to the back of the sanctuary? There's a door there, it's only a room about 40 by 20. And, man, those are awkward days, but we had some pews there that somebody loaned us, wooden pews that weren't fastened down, so somebody reared back, everybody went out in the power of God. women quit wearing nylons because they had little splinters on the wood pews and they'd always rip their nylons, so they just gave up. I mean, it was a great time. Man, we had great services there. We used to just tell the kids, you don't have to go to the bathroom. They said, no, I do have to. Listen, I need to go to the bathroom. No, you don't. You don't have to. You just you'd have to take them back to the other building, and there's nobody taking care of them, and the highway's right. Anyway, all that to say, we came from there to a pretty nice place. And what was it for? Does it need to go on? Sometimes moments like this make you say, well, really, what is the purpose of my life? And am I really doing what I want to do, or am I just on this rat race, treadmill going? What do I really want out of life? And so as I was looking at that, some of those thoughts have been hitting me, and I will let you know that I see great value. Whether anybody recognizes our story or not, anybody ever hears about it, but it is being heard all over the world right now. I've got people from D.C., I've got people from Europe, I've got people from Asia contacting me. And, one of the companies, again, if you can just say, God, you're all I need. You're my shepherd. I have no wants. But at the same time, realize while we're down here, we get to have great impact on each other's lives. And right now, whether nobody really knows how our music cut out this morning, or all that stuff, but all over the world, there are people that are saying, Pastor John, Believers Fellowship, we're so proud of you. We're so touched by you that you don't quit, that you rise up, that you always stand, and we're going to step up our game too. All over the world, there are people that are stepping up their game as they're watching what we're going through from a distance. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty cool that somebody, isn't it great when a kid starts finding out when they're bored and they don't know if their life has got any value, that all of a sudden something happens in their life and they decide they got purpose. And they start living their life. That's a great moment. And it's happening all over. Coming back to us. What can we do right now to touch the world? And it needs to be touched. And it needs help. What's the best thing you and I can do? So I want to go to Luke chapter 1, verse 80. This is right after John the Baptist is being prophesied over, and then he gets born, and it says that, I'm taking a little out of context, but you got the thought there. It says, and the child, John, continued to grow and became strong in spirit. And he lived in the desert until the day of his public appearance to Israel. Jesus referred to John the Baptist as the greatest of all prophets, preachers of the Old Testament all the way up to Jesus. He says nobody's greater than John. It kind of blows your mind when you think about all the different prophets and all that from the Old Testament. But some historians say that the thousands of people that repented with John and what he set up so that Jesus could usher in the kingdom, he was a critical player in the plan of God. As a child, he continued to grow, and he became strong in spirit. The beautiful thing is he lived in the desert. What's that mean? He lived alone. He wasn't a social guy. He wasn't in public school. He wasn't at the local Jerusalem, council. He lived out in the desert with this relationship until there was time for him to be presented to the people. And when he did, it was only a few years, and Jesus referred to him as the greatest until somebody got born again. Anybody that's born again is in a higher level. He grew. And become strong. Luke 2:52, talking about Jesus as a little child. It says this, and Jesus kept increasing in the wisdom and stature and in favor with God and men. So John did it, Jesus did it, Here's this real basic truth. You and I have the opportunity to grow. We have the opportunity to grow. So many people have so many questions about life and why does this happen, why does that happen, and there's always going to be an answer. But one of the things that kind of helps you at least start understanding a little bit of this process is once you're born, you have the opportunity to grow. And you have the opportunity to become strong in spirit. And you have the opportunity to grow in wisdom. And you have the opportunity to increase in everything, especially in the grace of God or the favor of God with people and with God. The word favor there is the word grace. And so here is something that people say, well, why did that, how did this person do that? Well, some people grow and some people don't. Simple fact. You can't isolate it all down, but one thing you got to understand is everybody has the opportunity, if they want to grow and increase, become strong, walk in favor with God, walk in the power of God, walk in the wisdom of God. We all have that opportunity. Why do we come together? I think it's to grow. We sharpen each other. We challenge each other. Rick once said, he said, when he became a pilot, he said, the guy that gave him his license says, now you got your license, you can fly. And he goes, well, I could either be an average pilot, I could be a poor pilot, or I could be a better pilot. What do I want to do? And Rick said, you just made the choice. If I'm going to get better, I'm going to hang around pilots. So he started hanging around the airport, started hanging around pilots, right? Why? Because you can learn from others that are in it, If you want to get strong in God, who do you really need to hang with? God. That's what John the Baptist did. He hung with God. So did Jesus. Didn't start their ministry right. Weren't trying to be the greatest heroes. I think sometimes what we do in this culture is we are pushing kids so fast to be so great so immediately, and that and so they're just already in the ball game competing with everything. And I'm not against all that, but I am saying, man, we wore some people out before they ever got started. Sometimes you just need to be a kid that plays in the dirt until it's your time to get, and exit. I won't go on with that. I want to read this. Matthew 24:12 says, because lawlessness is increased. It's talking about the end times. Because lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold. So why do we gather together, and what is this all about? I believe that we have a choice whether we want to grow and increase in God and in wisdom and in favor, or we can be like a lot of people are happening now and will continue to happen because of all the stuff that's happening. They can grow the other direction. You can grow cold. You can get to where you don't care. You can get to where your life isn't important to you and other people's lives aren't important to you, and your love can grow cold. So one of the first things I want to encourage you today, again, what we've encouraged all along, let's have a purpose to grow. You don't want to feel bad for a lot of kids. They don't have a desire to grow. They have a desire to find the easiest way. Find the easiest way. They literally tell you that. Even adults sometimes, they just want the easiest way. Whatever's easiest, I'll take that. And I don't know why, I'm not sure why, but some reason at an early age, I made the decision that the easy way was not going to take me where I wanted to go. I started avoiding the easy way. I started getting a bad attitude, or I wanted to distance myself from the attitude of take the easiest path. The easiest path. You guys are going to love me for this one. The easiest path for a lot of people in the culture we're in right now is go to school, get the best grades, get the scholarship, get free college, get to college, get your degree, get your doctorate degree, and you're on your way, man. That's the easiest path. And I said, I don't want to go that way. I don't want to go that way. I don't want to just spend my life checking off the boxes so everybody looks at it and says, he did a good job. He did. Oh, look at that. He's smart. Oh, look at this. He passed. Oh, look at this. He's really good. Oh, this, you know. When we started Believers Fellowship, a friend of mine was, in a denomination, and his denomination said, hey, we approve of you. We're going to give you $35,000 a year for your own living, and we're going to give you $35,000 to start a church. And he came to me, and he was all excited, and I said, wow, that's awesome. And then he looked at me and says, you didn't have that, did you? I said, oh, no, I still don't have that. I said, that $35,000 is a little high for me. And he said, he just looked at me. I'll never forget it. He's looked and he goes, I'll never know what you know, will I? I'll never experience what you've experienced. I said, no, you won't. No, you won't. No, you won't. You won't have the joy that I have. You won't know the hard times I walk through, crying out to God. You will not know that. You'll not know what it's like to go out with not a dime. You'll not know what it's like to have nobody supports you. You'll not know what it's like to be standing all alone all the time, and with the heart intent to lead people. You'll not know what I know. But I said, don't turn that down. Take it. But figure out how you're going to grow. Figure out how you're going to push the limits and not take the easiest path. Even though, I said, I want to turn down that money. I want to turn down that opportunity. But you're going to have to press hard for you to develop you in your situation. And I didn't have that problem. I had to build the strength in here to stand. There's nobody standing with me. So I want to encourage you, wherever you're at, whatever age you're at, no matter whatever you're in, whatever position you're in life right now, set your heart to grow. One thing that touched me is my grandfather was in church, after he pastored till he was about 82, then he continued to go to church. Anyway, a friend of mine, Cliff Lynn, some of you might remember him here in town, he took his Methodist young people to our little Quaker church so they could experience a Quaker church. It wasn't silent like everybody thought it would be, and so it was kind of interesting. But one of the kids said to him when he got done, he says, the old guy. And Cliff said, what do you mean the old guy? He said, the old guy. The old guy is sat up there towards the right. He said, yeah. He said, tell me about him. Well, he said he used to be the pastor. He's over 100 years old. And he said, why do you ask? He said, because he's taking notes. And he was listening intently. And I thought, what a perceptive young person to say, what's going on with the old guy? Why would he still be listening? Why would he still be taking notes? Why would he still be studying? And my grandfather did. Marty can tell you. My grandfather, we'd have a church, we'd meet after church in his house, and we'd visit for a while. And of course, when you're that age, well, you'd be a lot younger, hard of hearing. After a while, you just see Grandpa go off. He didn't have an office. He had just a desk in the living room. And he'd go off to that desk, and he'd pull out a book, and he'd start reading. And right there with all of the rest of us visiting, my grandfather would go into the office state, meditation, not know who was in the house, not care, and be in communion with God. Why? Because he wanted to grow. He wanted to be strong. He wanted to continue to increase. Hallelujah. What else can we do? We can become ecstatic. If we want to help the world, if we want to be a light, if we want to accomplish something, we need to become established. It says this. Psalms 15:4 says this. Right before this, if you read it, it says, who will walk with God and who will dwell in the house of the Lord? I read this when I was 16 years old. Somewhere in there, maybe younger, maybe older. Somebody ministered on it, and it's never left me. It's been governing my life. And I want to just read the one verse. And this is describing a person that's going to walk with God. It says, in whose eyes a reprobate or a bride is despised. But he who honors those who fear the Lord, but who honors those who fear the Lord. And here's the verse I want to share today. He swears to his own hurt and does not change. I wanted to grow in life. I wanted to increase. I wanted to have favor with God and with man. I wanted to walk with God. I wanted to know God. I didn't want to know about God. I didn't want somebody's approval. I never sought for somebody to ordain me. I never sought for somebody to give me an achievement award. I didn't get one either. No, I did too. I have a doctorate degree from Bible school in Mexico. Well, it burned. It's gone. Lost my degree. I bet he can write me another one. I wanted, as a young person, I wanted to have impact. I don't care if people recognized what I did. I wanted the real deal. I wanted to be a person that had a real deal, that changed his word and made history. And the Lord took me to this verse, and he said, you want to do that, John? You swear it to your own hurt, and you don't change. What that meant to me was if I said I was going to do something, and then all of a sudden I realized if I do that, it's going to cost me. If I keep my word on this, it's going to cost me. That's what's going to happen. It's going to cost me. I'm going to pay the price. I'm going to pay the price. So many times in my life, I could have slipped out of a deal, could say, hey, I made a mistake there, no problem. I was hurting for money. I had a lumber yard. I went out there, and farmers, I love them. I'm one of them. But they like a good deal. Boy, they'll buy something if it's just a good deal, even if they don't need it. And then I had some 2x12s by like 24 foot long there, and they were just beautiful. And the guy said, how much are those? And I was busy, and I quoted him a price, and I figured it out in my head, which wasn't good then, it's not good now. He goes, wow, that's a good price. And I go, oops. And sure enough, I had figured the square footage, in half. Got back in, I said, yeah, my price is right, but and he just looked at me and said, that's a heck of a deal I'm getting in it. And I thought, you? And really, I could have got out of that deal. I could have said, listen, I quoted you out there with my head and it was wrong. But this verse came to me. And I said, yeah, you did get one heck of a deal. And I sold it to him for half price. He said, why did you do that? Because I wanted something to change in here. I wanted something to get strong in here. I didn't want to be the person that found the easiest way. I didn't want to be the person always looking for somebody to give him, a freebie or whatever else. And I thought, something? I keep my word on this. I'm going to be careful. I'm going to be a lot more careful not to be speaking out of my mouth something before I'm ready to say I can do it. I wanted the discipline on me to say, when I say something, I better know I'm going to keep my word. It didn't affect him. It was a cheap deal. It didn't affect me. Well, money's been coming and going ever since, but it changed me. For you and I, one of the things, if we're going to touch this world, you want to make your life full of purpose, full of power, be somebody that doesn't take the easiest way, that builds themselves up in the inside and becomes strong in spirit, strong in wisdom. And then the last thing is, use your words. Tell God you're with him. Tell God you're with him. Tell God that you want his plan. Tell God that, listen, I trust you that you're smarter than me, more powerful than me. You know me, so I'm going to drop my opinion. Boy, this morning my grandkids were there. And Papa, no, it was last night. Papa, do you like pancakes or waffles better? And I sat there and I stalled out. And I was thinking, why is this a hard question? And I was just kind of off in Lululand there a little bit. And then, Papa, which do you like? Waffles or pancakes? The easiest thing in the world is just pick one. I said, well, it depends on the day. What are you talking about, Papa? Because what they don't understand is deep inside my heart, I told the Lord a long time ago, I want to drop my opinion. I want to stop having an opinion. I don't know if that's possible. It's at least the intent. Papa, what's your favorite? I don't have a favorite. What do you mean you don't have a favorite? I don't have a favorite. See, because if I yield myself to that, then all of a sudden I'm going to God and saying, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do this. God, can you let me do this? Hey, God, would you allow me to? Hey, God, I'm praying that I get this job. Oh, God, people say, they come to me and say, would you pray that I get this job? And I said, yeah, I'll honor that, but I would never ask that. What do you mean you never? I never asked that. I'd always just say, God, what job you got for me? I'll take that one. You lead, you guide me. I'm not bringing up my opinion anymore. Why? Because I trust you, and I want to go with you. I'm not asking you, God, to go with me. I'm asking that I get to go with you. I want to walk with you where you're going. Hebrews 4:16 says this, therefore, let us draw near with confidence to the throne of grace so that we may receive mercy and find grace and to help in time of need. The word confidence there means come before his throne and speak very freely. Without an agenda, just without making it sweet or whatever else. Just speak it freely. You know what's really difficult right now to do in this society? Is to just share freely how you feel. Isn't it? You and I aren't in the big council stuff, but it's around us all the time. And it has a pressure on us. But God says, I want you to come before my throne and I want you to freely speak to me, boldly. Use your words. And the best thing you can do when you go before his throne is say, Father, my trust is in you. My obedience is in you. I want to grow up in your favor. I want to grow in your wisdom. I want to be strong in spirit. I want to do what you want me to do. I want to take the path, no matter if it's hard or easy. I'm with you. Father, I want to thank you for the opportunity that you give every person in this room, every person that's listening to me right now, every person that we meet, every person we get to talk to. You give them the opportunity to grow, to make choices, to choose life or choose death, to choose growing up, being strong, or to choose to say, no, I'm going to grow cold. And Father, for the energy that I feel in this room, and for the hungry hearts that are being joined together right now, we boldly come before your throne and say, God, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And we choose to be your servants to bring it to pass. So we're declaring that evil's being exposed in the world today for what it is. It's not hidden, and the light is coming out and exposing the evil, and it's transforming people's lives. People are going to see the truth, and they're going to want it. And Father, we want to join you in the harvest of many children coming to your table. That's our heart cry. All the rest of the stuff, thy will be done. Whatever you tell us to speak, we'll speak. Whatever you tell us to do, we'll do. We've made our choice. It's to walk with you. And everybody said, so be it. Amen. God bless you. Have an awesome week.